Birthday. I'm going to spend the time at a cafe, packing charger, bringing my camera as well so I can take lots of pictures. The most important items that I need today are my traveler's notebook and the pencil case. I have to complete backlog as well as do a monthly spread and write about some birthday thoughts. So taking that. Now that I'm thinking about it, all of this is really jumbled together, so maybe I should put it in this pouch just so it organizes a little better. Outfit of the day, wearing my favorite cardigan and some comfy jeans. The bag, it's really cold today, so I'm gonna have to throw on a winter jacket. Good morning, everyone. It's been a couple of weeks since I last turned on the camera and spoke to it as well. Honestly, if you don't do this for some time, you start to lose touch. So maybe this is my reminder to keep filming. This month has been really difficult for many reasons, but I wanted to show some of the places I've been and some of the things I've been doing. But when you're going through a tough time, it's difficult to have that energy to pick up the camera, film, and also talk. So I've kind of just been letting myself rest and go through the emotions that come up without having this external pressure of needing to film. So I took a break, and during that break, I guess I learned a lot about myself and how I tend to react to negative circumstances. I let myself sit in that period of time, and then one day I said to myself, enough is enough. Let me do something about how I'm feeling, and little by little, since that day, I've been healing. So that's a good thing. I'm at that point where I want this month to be over so I can have a fresh start. But that kind of mindset is also a bit pathetic in a way. On top of all that, I had bought tickets to go see Young Kai in April, and sadly there's something that interferes the same day and the same time as the concert. So I ended up giving the ticket to one of my friends, so she gets to go and enjoy the concert with another one of my friends that I was initially going with. So I really hope that they have a lovely time and they enjoy his music and his album as much as I do. Seeing him on tour right now makes me a little sad. On a more positive note, I did end up purchasing a couple books that I want to show you. These are the books I got. I ended up spilling water all over my table and on the floor. Anyhow, Indigo does a 20% off during your birthday month. So I picked up 3 books during March, and then these 2 are the books that I also got in January. The first one, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I watched the movie in 2018 or 2019. I don't recall much of the plot, but it was something that pulled my heartstrings. Maybe when I'm in the mood to read something with more emotions, I can pick this up and then watch the movie. Next, Tuesdays with Maury. I'm sure most of you have heard about this book. The old man gives advice to a younger man, which would be pretty practical to read about right now. Purchased Little Women as well. I watched the movie in 2019 and it was my favorite movie. I've never read the book, so maybe it's time that I read the book first and then rewatch the movie. Memoirs are one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite. I've read Norwegian Wood by Murakami, and it was a pretty interesting novel. Now to read a memoir of his should be great because I'm in my running phase. I want to learn more about the thought process of another person running and training for a marathon. I read somewhere that he apparently runs 60 kilometers every single week. For context, most people run maybe 14 kilometers every week, and he's running 60 kilometers, and he has been since 1980s, I believe. Or maybe even before. So I should be able to finish this quickly, and the font is quite large. Lastly, I got When Breath Becomes Air. It's another memoir, and this is actually about a doctor who got diagnosed with cancer, and he talks about what it feels like to be in the position of a patient, but from a doctor's perspective. With that, I have a couple new books in the collection that I'm excited to dive into, and hopefully this will keep me excited about reading more books this spring and summer. On the topic of books, these have been my recent reads, starting off with Crime and Punishment that I read in February. Ended up giving this one a 2.5 stars out of 5, which is banal for a classic, and a classic that everyone enjoys and loves. My critique is that I was trying to rush through it, and the lesson that I learned is you can't rush through classics. So this follows the story of Raskolnikov, who commits a murder that is random, a murder that is calculated but also in the spur of the moment. Russian literature is something that I would love to read more of. However, for next time, I want to annotate a lot more and annotate within the book themes of poverty, morality, pride, the power dynamic between police and the public. Raskolnikov lives in a town which predominantly has a lower socioeconomic status. We see that in the other people that he describes, as well as the structures and the architecture of the buildings. This is not a story about the happening of a murder, but the happening of the internal consequences. It's about paranoia, guilt, greed, and suffering. It's about justifying Raskolnikov's wrongs for what he presumes is the greater good. Part 6 was my favorite because we got to see a glimpse of his life afterwards, post-murder, and how he ended up being imprisoned in Siberia. The historical context is also significant based on Dostoevsky's own sufferings as well. So I should have looked more into the history, but that is something that I've noted for next time. Definitely will reread, but maybe not anytime soon. Then I picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses. Just the title seemed very fun. And over the years, this has accumulated a lot of attention, and rightfully so. If you're into adventure, fantasy, this is the book for you. Ended up finishing it in a week. Honestly, could have finished it in one whole sitting. This was the type of book that every single day I would wake up and go to sleep thinking about because I wanted to get through it really, really quickly. It's very digestible, easy to read. Content and the way that these books are written differs so much. So when I was reading the first chapter of ACOTAR, it was a bit bizarre because the language seemed so simple, but it was fun reading this and I loved it. ACOTAR is a fantasy romance which follows the main character, Fair. She is a mortal who is a hunter, and she hunts to provide for her family who is living in poverty. She ends up killing a wolf. Little does she know that the wolf is actually a fairy, and fairies and mortals are kind of split in this world, and is later approached by another fairy to repay for her murder of their kind, and that fairy particularly gave her the ultimatum. Either she lives in Prythian forever, which is their world, or she has to die on the spot. And so Fair's father convinces her to go live in Prythian. She learns that she was approached by a high fae, is what they call, which is the highest, I guess, hierarchy in fairies. And his name is Tamlin. Tamlin and Fair's love interest eventually develops. There is a blight that is spreading across of Prythian, and it can also have harmful effects on mortals. It's this exploration of love, identity, and also of friendship. What I enjoyed about ACOTAR is that even the antagonists we come to love, Sarah J. Maas developed them so well. They all have backstories and they all have their reasonings for being the bad characters. And the book I'm reading currently is Olive Kitteridge. So both ACOTAR and Olive Kitteridge I picked up at the library. I came to just find on the bookshelf. Apparently it's the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. It's divided up into 13 short stories around the character Olive Kitteridge. She is a retired school teacher. I found it difficult to get into, especially since the chapters keep changing perspectives. We're learning a little pieces of different people and different families. Now that I'm halfway through, I am enjoying this book more than I thought I would. As I'm reading, I like to transcribe, so quotes that I find interesting, for passages that stand out to me. It's on page 126, and it goes like this. After all, life was a gift. That one of those things about getting older was knowing that so many moments weren't just moments, they were gifts. And how nice, really, that people should celebrate with such earnestness this time of year. No matter what people's lives might hold, still in all, people were compelled to celebrate because they knew somehow, in their different ways, that life was a thing to celebrate. I find that endearing. I want to do the reviews as I'm reading the books instead of leaving it last minute. I personalized my traveler's notebook. Now it looks really cute. Well, I went and picked up a pottery piece. This is how it looks. I want to use it as a cereal bowl. It's cute, but it definitely needs work.